Hey there folks, this is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Welcome back to the farm. It's another beautiful breezy day here on the Stoney Ridge Farm in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Today we're going to mow down our old garden spot back here, and we're going to be using the Swisher Big Mow, but I've got two decks for this, and this is our zero-turn mower for the farm. It's what we mow the yard with, and we've got a brush hog, brush cutting, rough cut deck to put on it. So come along today as we try out the rough cut deck for the very first time. We'll explain the differences between the finish mow deck that's a 66 inch and the rough cut deck that's a 51 inch. We'll swap them out and we'll get digging in the dirt. All right? Woo! So first of all, let's introduce you to this critter. If this is your first time to the channel, please pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, click that little bell icon, it'll notify you when I post a new video. This is awesome stuff here going on our farm. We've got a 200-acre farm here in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. So this is the finish deck. It's a 66-inch finish deck, and it basically disconnects with two pins. There's a pin system, and then there's a shaft. So this is a shaft-driven mower deck, which is a whole lot different than most decks that are belt-driven. So we raise this little guy up right here and we'll disconnect everything and we'll hook up to our rough cut deck. Now we've already mowed this whole area here with the finish mower, and you can see does a pretty awesome job. This grass was probably just a little under knee high. Now what we're gonna be up against is about 6 feet high. So this is what we're gonna cut. It is tall. You can see I'm 6'5" and it comes up to here, and some of it is almost up to here. This is some Johnson grass. There's some old corn in here. You can see the rows. We didn't have a very good corn crop this year for our own consumption here on the farm, but we've got to cut down this brush and just basically mulch all this material down into the garden. Let me show you the rough cut deck. Okay, so this is the rough cut deck. It's a 51 inch and it just looks a little smaller. It hooks up. You can see there's a little setup here. That hooks up, a pin drops in, and then there's a shaft, basically a PTO shaft, just like a tractor. Now let's talk about the blades on this, because this isn't a typical mowing deck that you would see on a zero-turn mower. It's a whole lot funner. So here is the standard blade that's on the finish mower, and it's a gator blade, and what this has is little brush hog deck blades. So much like the tractor, the brush hog on the tractor, this has very, very similar blades, and they're sharp on both edges. Pretty cool, pretty heavy duty. I'm really curious to hear this thing when it first starts up. The Swisher has I guess a particular sound to it. It almost sounds like a jet engine. It's like boop. It's pretty fun. So we're going to disconnect the other deck and we'll get busy connecting to this one. I've never done this before, so I hope it's easy. Yeah. So Swisher has a pretty unique system here. The uniqueness of the system is that the deck raises and lowers with either a button right up here, or you can push a button right over here and it drops the deck down. Pretty interesting. So we're gonna raise this guy up, and my thought is to leave this basically in a neutral position. I think we'll be just fine where we are. Let's see. Yeah, maybe I want to swap this deck out in the high position. Let's see. Yeah, that seems about right. So we'll raise this guy up, and there is a pin system right here. We pull a little pin, slide it out, and this is the strap that raises and lowers. There's also a PTO shaft down here, and we want to do this with the machine off. We'll just slip the PTO shaft off, and there are two pins right here. So it should be pretty much disconnected. I got one more pin to go. Pull the pin out. Maybe it won't drop on my foot. There we go. Then we'll disconnect our electrical connectors. All right, that deck should be totally disconnected. I should be able to just back right back off of it. What I do need is my chain. So there's a chain set up that holds this guy up. So I need to hook my chain up to support this once we back up. So let me grab that. This thing comes with a chain set up so you can support the deck when you have it up in a position like this. So we'll raise it up and support the deck. Just that simple. We might go up one more rung on the chain. There we go. And that supports our deck to where we can drive in to the other implement. Here we go. Break off. Should be able to just back out of this. Yeah, look at that. Awesome. Pretty cool, man. Nice. That was awesome. We're not quite hooked up yet, so first thing we're gonna hook up is gonna be our drive shaft. So we'll raise this guy up here out of the way. I'll actually move our carabiner up here to a higher position. So we hold this guy up out of the way and we'll hook up our drive shaft right here. Pretty easy. Maybe a slight rotation. There we go. Slides on just like a PTO shaft on your tractor, and it needs lubricating just like a PTO shaft on your tractor. So we're good there. Our pin system is here and here, and it's not quite lined up appropriately. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna send our winch out just like this. There's a pin right here. We pull the pin, slide this guy into place, and basically the winch is just a strap. Okay, just to snap those in place. Hopefully. There we go. Okay, now we'll raise this guy up. Now I'm told when I raise this up, it should draw it right in. Almost. Looks like we got one pin almost drawn in. Raise her on up here a little bit. There's one. There we go. All right, our strap's in place. We want to take a little load off the deck. There we go. And we should be ready to make our final adjustments and start cutting. There's a pin right here. We'll pull that pin out. We'll set it in the medium setting and we'll get started cutting brush. This is not a diesel. This is a 31 horsepower Kawasaki air-cooled engine. It should have some serious power, especially with only a 51-inch deck right here. What we're cutting is something that I would typically cut with a brush hog on the tractor or with the Tough Cut, which is the brush cutter on the front of the Ventrac tractor. I'm a huge fan of mowing decks out front so you can see what you're doing, exactly what you're doing. So we're going to get into this, but first you can see I've already taken the brush hog on the tractor kind of up through the middle here. So we'll start in an area that's not so rough and then we'll move to a rougher area. I'm gonna toss the drone up in the air. We'll get you some pretty cool footage. Again, I've never used this machine, so I'm really curious as to how well it's gonna cut, whether I can put somebody on this machine while I'm out mowing fields. They can be mowing fields and fence lines and stuff like that with the zero turn. It turns your zero turn into a multi-purpose machine versus just a lawnmower. I most certainly can't complain about that. Man, it did an absolute awesome job. You can really tell right down in here where the corn is, it just cleared a path, basically a swath through there. So we'll toss the drone up here. We'll get you some different angles of what's going on, and I'll tell you what I think after running this thing for about a half an hour or so. It shouldn't take very long. I will tell you this, that it's pushing a whole lot of debris. So in other words, debris is building up on the front of this, like corn debris, and it's causing the back tires to spin because it's a little bit wet. And we have furrows in here also from, it's a garden. So let's get busy and toss the drone up and get some cool footage. Minutes, totally done. A plus, man, totally A plus. To have a zero turn mower that will brush hog like that, especially as rough and thick as that was, I mean, that's not something that you would tackle with the average mower at all. I totally feel confident if it's cutting those hard sticks and corn stalks down, it's gonna kick some butt on grass. So we'll have all summer next summer to use this thing in the fields to mow along fence lines and stuff like that. But man, I can't say enough. I think it's super duper awesome. And you can see we kind of plowed through or pushed through a little bit here. You can see where the furrow was, so there was a hump right there and the mower just knocked it over. I got into the dirt a couple times. It didn't bog down. It did an awesome job. So A plus, man. Really happy. So far, happy with the finish cut deck. It did an awesome job. Mowed the yard with it day before yesterday, probably last time we'll have to mow this year. And it just kicked butt on this area right here. So cool, guys. Well, I thought I'd get on here and try this machinery out and show you how it all worked, and it worked great. Thanks a lot for joining me here on the Stoney Ridge Farm today. I hope you enjoyed seeing a piece of machinery at work. For a guy that has 3, 4, 5 acres, something like that. He's got a 2-acre yard and pasture. I think that would totally cut the mustard. You wouldn't have to buy a $30,000 tractor. You could just buy a zero turn and brush hog with it. Pretty rad. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next time on the Stoney Ridge. Woo!